When you go to the store and you make a purchase, you tap your card, bam, it's done. You go to the gas station, you do the exact same over and over, making it very easy to pay for things. Now in today's video, we're going to be breaking down using cash, using credit, or essentially using a credit card versus using a debit card, and which one you should really use. Now, a lot of people have always said that cash is king, cash is very important, and we are moving towards a more cashless society. But does it make a big difference when you pay in cash, when you pay in full? What is really the opposite of having the ability to just swipe using someone else's money with credit, or using a debit card that is going to be really locked in with that checking account? Now, the reasons people use credit, now a lot of kind of myths come up with this, guys. 8 in 10 adults, roughly 84% at least, have one credit card at a minimum. But just like a lot of people said, you shouldn't use your credit card more than you pay off within a single month. However, with that being said, we're almost to $1.1 trillion in credit card debts as a nation. So what is the reason and the logic that I hear from people, guys? Number one, rewards points. They want to use their credit card because they have the reward points. You know what? If reward points and if credit card companies were not making an insane amount of money on interest, the rewards wouldn't be there, and the rewards or the incentive rates to even open up a card would not be as lucrative as we've seen before. Now, you also have to think, when you look at credit cards that offer rewards, right now the average is around 24%, which means of the $1.1 trillion that people are not paying off, they are paying fundamentally for every single rewards, probably 100 times over for what these companies actually get it. So when you think of the reward points itself, not only the credit and debt cycles, but also the amount that you use on your credit cards just to get, let's say, $100 back. So even if you have a card that pays 1%, if you have another card that pays possibly 2%, 2% of $100 is $2, guys. That is right. You have to spend an insane amount of money to actually see a reward for a cashback card. And even then, guys, is the cashback card really worth it? In my opinion, when it comes to cashback, it is not worth it, because you can find a lot of other places and a lot of discounts that you can use. Might be a little bit of perk for some people, but the way that I kind of view it is, if you're taking the cashback reward, if you're taking that incentive, you're taking it from the individuals that cannot and will not and do not pay off their credit card bill in full every single month. Second one that I always hear, guys, is travel. I gotta have my travel points. I gotta have my travel points. Majority of people that I see are carrying a hefty balance on their travel card. For instance, I had an individual that said, well, I bought tickets and we actually went to Mexico with the tickets that I bought. I said, okay, how much was on the card? He said roughly $10,000 to $15,000 is the balance he carries, which means that exponentially, that trip that he got to Mexico that was free from what the credit cards and what the points actually cost him could be paid probably 10 times over with the amount if he did not have to pay interest on that rewards card. Now, some hotels work temporarily or work in conjunction with some credit card companies to give you some additional perks, but most of the time the perks are not utilized, or there is not enough perks or not benefit to really have a card. Now, the big one, guys, number 3 that I hear is building my credit. Building up the credit score, of course, is really interesting to see, because building credit, I know, is important, but it's important to a point, because essentially you're building credit to borrow more money. You're getting a better score to get a better rate to borrow more money. You're looking to get a better score to get a better mortgage rate to borrow more money. It is a cycle that is never ending. It is a cycle that we are literally taught forever. And even some people are shocked when they find out, one, they don't have to carry debt, and two, they can pay their debt down faster and pay their debt load, or they're really cut the interest that they have on their, guys. There's no such thing as a perfect credit score. The only time that a credit score actually does come into play is if you have to borrow money. The game, or the I win game, is when you get to the point that you have enough in savings and investments accounts that you actually don't have to rely on financial institutions, and you can actually fund anything you want to do yourself with the money that you have available. Now, another one, guys, that I always hear is the emergency situations. I have to use my credit card. I have to maintain my credit card, because that is going to be the in case of emergency fund. In case of emergency is something that you need to be budgeting in that emergency fund. If it is fully funded, that is the reason to have it. if it is something that is not truly emergency. Now, this is kind of the gray line or the gray area that you get into this is when you look at, I need a new roof. I need, a new AC unit for my house. I need a new furnace. I need this. I need that. Those are things you have to budget for, guys. If you are a homeowner, if you know those expenses are going to come up, this is the reason. Number one, you got an emergency fund. Number two, you're budgeting for those. If you know your house is 25 years old, possibility that you're going to need a roof, you're going to need windows, an AC unit. Those are things you have to build in the budget. The more that you can put into the budget and the more that you can plan, even if you're saving $100, $200 a month towards that goal, you know it is going to come, guys. It is not an emergency. It is something that you budgeted poorly for or you did not budget at all. And the final one, guys, is the safety aspect. That is right. The safety aspect of this, when it comes to credit cards, when it comes to debit cards, a lot of people do want to use the credit card because it is not actually linked to their money, which is a really big caveat to have, guys. If your identity is stolen, if there's identity theft, if someone is using your card, essentially, if you lose cash, cash is gone, unfortunately. But if you're using a credit card, if something happens or if you're a victim of fraudulent scams, things of that nature, most credit card companies will protect you in your entirety. So on the flip side of that, what is the benefits of using cash? This one, of course, just having the cold, hard cash, the dollar bills, like they say, it folds. Better to pay with cash. Is it really? Number one, there are no fees. That is right, guys. There are no late fees. There are no missed payment fees. There are no transaction fees. There are no fees associated with this, guys. When you're paying cash, if you go out and you buy your groceries and you spend $200, boom, your groceries are set and they are done. There is no percentage rate. There are no temporary rates. There are no incentives. There is nothing associated with it other than you buying the items that you have. And once you buy them, boom, it is done. Number two, guys, avoiding interest. That is right, guys. Roughly 24% is the rate of credit cards. So if your carry balance on there, paying cash would save you that percentage that you're going on there. And of course, the big one is number three, guys. People who pay in cash roughly spend 20 to 25% less per year than individuals that are using credit cards. That is right, guys. This is insane. This is a study from MIT, guys. Roughly 20 to 25% less spending with cash. Again, that was absolutely mind-blowing for me. And the reason because the motivation for spending is different when it comes to credit cards than when it comes to cash. When it comes to cash, your brain psychologically or emotionally, mentally, whatever it may be, guys, it really checks a different box because you're giving away your cold hard cash. You're not just swiping something. It helps you stretch your dollar. It helps you budget a lot better. That is the reason why, looking back to even the envelope method where you're actually putting cash in there, made a really big difference. And for a majority of people, the envelope system or the cash system was the best way to do it, guys. If you go at the end of your paycheck and you take out $400 because you only got $400 left, guess what? You only have to live on $400 and you only can survive on that $400. It really also incentivizes you to shop for sales, looking for discount, looking for anything that you can do to save money to give you access to more cash. Number four, you own, you do not owe. That is right, guys. When you look at buying something, if you pay cash for a car, you own the car. It is said and done. When you do it for clothing, when you do it for furniture, when you do it for pretty much anything, you own it day one, all done, said and paid for. Nobody can take it back. It is yours in its entirety. It is not a bill that is going to come due later. And a lot of things that I also noticed with this, guys, is when it comes to larger expenses. Now we're talking about weddings, we're talking about funerals, we're talking about vacations. A majority of people at this point in life, guys, are borrowing money to cover and really have the experiences in life. But what I found is if you're borrowing $15,000 or $20,000, which is crazy in my opinion to get married, you borrow your $20,000, you end up paying about $25,000 to $27,000 over the next 5 years. Not only are you starting with a brand new marriage, but you're also starting in a ton of debt together. And not only coupled with that, guys, when you look at younger generation, credit card debt, student loan debt, mortgage payment, if they can afford a mortgage at all, if the DTI works, because of those student loan payments. Then you look at car payments. When you look at starting out, guys, it's incredibly difficult to have a lot of negative debt and a lot of interest that is being calculated against you. And number 5, guys, the final one, having cash on hand. That is right. Having cash on hand, even if it is a little bit of cash, makes a real big difference, guys. If there's an emergency, if something happens, which we've seen credit card companies that have gone down, cards were not being accessed, power outages, have to make sure you do carry some cash. Now, if you're going to an cash purchases or all online cash, you can definitely do it, guys. And Quinn, the question that I get a lot is online purchases. How do we handle online purchases? Guess what? I do not know any retailers that will not take a debit Visa card, that will take a Visa credit card. They will take debit cards, guys. Any place that your card is good as a credit card, they will take it as a debit card as well. So coming from your checking account, coming from a line of credit, Visa doesn't care, MasterCard doesn't care, American Express doesn't care. Wherever it's coming from, guys, they will accept it at a retailer with a debit card, which again, debit cards, very similar to cash, but debit cards can be utilized for the online shopping tool. And don't be fooled, guys, by the buy now, pay later. This is probably one of the biggest things that I see coming up, which literally everybody has Affirm, everyone has Afterpay, has buy now, pay later, 90 days, same as cash. Guys, all of them charge fees for doing this. All of them charge interest for doing this. You want to make sure, guys, this is a way to really start creating that debt cycle a lot faster because of the buy now and pay later scams. You can live without credit cards. That is the bottom line, guys. Should you do cash or credit? Honestly, my opinion, cash is really the way to go. The reason being budgeting for it. The rewards programs that you have out there, regardless of the card, not really beneficial. Not only, again, are you taking advantage of the credit card companies or trying to win the game or game the game, whatever it may be, guys. Credit card companies and credit cards will find a way to charge you interest, will charge you. And if they're not charging you, they're just charging another 100,000 people to make the money and the incentives that they are and that they promote to a lot of different people. So paying with cash, guys, when you pay, it is completely done. You know exactly how much you got. If you're running in the red, guess what? Cash, you can't run in the red. You make 4,000, you spend 4,000 in cash. Guess what? You have no more cash. You're not borrowing. You're not going in debt. The cash is gone. The buying is gone. So definitely using the cash, guys. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Are we using cash and credit? And as always, thank you guys for watching.